Before technology, before empires, and even before language, we were just survivors in a brutal world. But something changed. An inexplicable evolutionary leap made us the dominant species on Earth. How did it happen? Why us? And what was lost along the way? Get ready to dive into an epic journey through the origins of humanity, where the real story begins far earlier than you might imagine. Long before a single human foot touched the ground, Earth was already a stage for relentless forces. Boiling oceans swallowed unstable continents, while volcanoes hurled fire into the sky. Life, stubborn and fragile, struggled to exist. Colossal creatures ruled the land: dinosaurs, monstrous sea beings, insects the size of birds. Then came a catastrophe. An impact from space wiped out 75% of all life on Earth. But from chaos came opportunity. Tiny mammals, once insignificant, began to adapt. The Earth cooled. Forests flourished. A new cycle began. It would take millions of years, but the seed of our story was already planted, in life's resilience and nature's ruthless selection. The world we know today was born from destruction, and it was that very destruction that paved the way for us. Yet we were still far, very far from existing. The human story doesn't begin with cities or civilizations, it begins with a single step. About 4 million years ago, on the African savanna, a different kind of creature emerged: Australopithecus. Small, furry, fragile, but with something new: an upright posture. That simple change changed everything. Walking on 2 legs freed the hands. And with hands came the ability to shape the world. Over time, Australopithecus gave way to Homo habilis, the handy man, capable of making simple tools from stone. It wasn't just strength. It was intent, strategy, intelligence. Roughly 1.5 million years later, Homo erectus appeared. Taller, stronger, bolder. He mastered fire, one of humanity's greatest leaps. With fire came protection, cooking, light, and the social bonds formed around the flame. But the true game-changer came just 300,000 years ago: Homo sapiens. Tiny in geological time, massive in impact. We weren't the only intelligent hominids. There were Neanderthals, Denisovans, and others lost to time. But sapiens had something no one else did: imagination. We painted caves, created rituals, told stories. While others saw the world as it was, we imagined how it could be. And that ability, to believe in myths, abstract ideas, gods and futures, gave us a deadly edge. That's how we stopped being just another animal, and became human. Before Homo sapiens ruled the earth, we were not alone. Across vast Eurasia, Neanderthals thrived, incredibly strong, cold-adapted humans with brains as large as ours. They crafted complex tools, buried their dead, even created art. So, why did they vanish? It's a mystery that still puzzles scientists. Did sapiens wipe them out in silent wars? Or simply outcompete them with superior cooperation and adaptability? Another theory suggests a quieter ending: interbreeding. Today, traces of Neanderthal DNA live on, especially outside Africa. Maybe they weren't destroyed, but absorbed. Swallowed by a new kind of humanity, one that could imagine invisible worlds, unite distant tribes, and conquer unknown lands. The end of the Neanderthals wasn't just extinction. It marked the rise of a new mind, more creative, more dangerous, and perhaps, more alone. Around 70,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. An invisible but revolutionary leap. With no obvious physical change, Homo sapiens began to think differently. The cognitive revolution had begun, the moment our minds started operating on a new level. It wasn't just intelligence. Other animals had that. It was imagination. For the first time, humans created myths, believed in spirits, dreamed of gods, told stories. And more importantly, these stories united massive groups of people under a single idea. That's what set us apart from every other species. Lions hunt in packs. Bees build hives. But only humans create nations, religions, and empires, built on shared fictions. This ability let thousands of strangers cooperate as if they were one tribe. And once cooperation goes beyond biology, there's no limit to what can be built or destroyed. The cognitive revolution was the spark that lit the future. From that moment on, we stopped reacting to the world and began reshaping it in our image. A near-divine power, but one that came with deep risks. The world, from that point on, would never be the same. Long before cities, kings, and empires, humans lived in small nomadic bands. They hunted wild animals, gathered fruits, roots, and seeds. No bosses, no soldiers, no walls. Just nature, and the will to survive. Hunter-gatherers were incredibly adaptable. They knew every plant, every season, every animal behavior. They were experts at living with little, moving with the climate, and cooperating as a group. Men and women shared tasks. Decisions were communal. And many anthropologists believe life was more balanced, even healthier, than modern societies. Few realize that this lifestyle lasted for over 90% of human history. It was an era deeply connected to the earth. Time was measured by the sun and stars, not by clocks. But there was a price: insecurity, disease, attacks, and constant movement. Still, hunter-gatherers left a powerful legacy. Cave art, musical instruments, rituals. They were deeply human. They thought, dreamed, loved, feared. Today, we call that period primitive. But was it really? Some scholars believe we were more free back then, and maybe even happier. That lost era reminds us that progress doesn't always mean improvement. Something was left behind. And soon, humanity would take a step that changed everything, not just how we lived, but what it meant to be human. Around 12,000 years ago, everything changed. Tribes of hunter-gatherers began to cultivate land. Wheat, barley, rice, plants were domesticated. The agricultural revolution was born, the greatest turning point in human history. But contrary to popular belief, this shift didn't bring instant comfort. In fact, work increased. Diets worsened. Diseases spread. Social inequality was born. What started as a solution became a trap. Wheat domesticated man, not the other way around. To tend crops, people had to settle. Villages emerged. Food stocks were stored. Came the need for protection, and so armies, walls, and kings followed. Land stopped being shared and started being owned. The freedom of nomads was exchanged for stability and control. But this shift allowed something previously impossible: mass populations, cities, complex cultures, and the birth of civilization. It was the beginning of everything we know, including the invisible chains that still bind us today. With agriculture came cities. And with cities, came empires. The first great civilizations rose along rivers: the Tigris and Euphrates, the Nile, the Indus, the Yellow River. The Sumerians, Egyptians, Harappans began to build complex systems of government, writing, architecture, and religion. They raised pyramids, temples, roads. But with power came oppression. Hierarchies took hold. While some lived in abundance, many others were forced to serve. Civilization was born from creation, but also from inequality and control. Stability came with a cost: control. The rise of cities along major rivers, the Tigris, Euphrates, Nile, Indus, and Yellow, gave birth to complex societies. The Sumerians, Egyptians, Harappans, and others built mighty empires that laid the foundation for inequality. Cities brought writing, laws, and organized religion. Temples and pyramids stood as monuments to gods and rulers alike. But these power structures came at a cost. While a few enjoyed wealth and influence, the majority became peasants, slaves, and laborers. Class division became a permanent feature of society. Civilization was a trade-off: security and progress, at the price of freedom and equality. And as history marched forward, the cost of progress became clearer. The story of humanity isn't just about triumphs, it's about sacrifices. From hunter-gatherers to empires, human evolution brought astonishing advances, but also deep inequalities, tensions, and challenges. Each step forward seemed to come with something lost: freedom, equality, even our bond with nature. What brought us here? What made us change so much, and forget who we were? The civilization we built, with all its wonders and monsters, left us with a question that still echoes today. Are we truly more free now, or just more bound? In the next episode, we'll explore the rise of empires, and how their falls shaped the modern world. Discover how the legacies of Rome, Athens, and others still influence us today. Don't miss it. Subscribe and turn on notifications, the story continues.